What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. All right, so I'm on the road. Okay, I'm in the UK, just outside of London, filming for the brand new Vetted documentary. And some news just broke, and I want to cover it in a video, but I'm not going to do my typical intro and all of that. We're just going to jump right into these clips of David Grusch. Okay, so he went on Dr. Phil's podcast. Yes, that Dr. Phil, and said a lot of things that a lot of people are talking about. So let's jump into the first clip.
So in terms of what my, exposure was, I had folks from the retrieval program, I'll call it exfiltrate audiovisual evidence for me to see, both video and photos. And that was, audiovisual evidence of the retrieved craft, some of the dead cadavers that were recovered, call it the pilots, as I said in my interview with Nancy Mace. It's very hard to deduce origin because it's not like we know exactly what point in space or time these things came from. But, different types of pilots, if you will, different types of crafts.
One scam can cost you everything. A friend of mine once got a message that looked exactly like it came from his bank. Same logo, same language, even used his name. He clicked, logged in, and 20 minutes later, $1,000 was gone. The bank alerts only showed up after the money had already been moved. And that's the part nobody talks about. Most of the tools we already use, password managers, bank notifications, antivirus, are good at warning you. They're not good at getting money back or walking you through the weeks of calls and paperwork that follow. That's why I use CoverOn. It watches the dark web for my personal info, alerts me the second my logins or payment details get exposed, tracks my credit and any new accounts that get opened in my name, and gives me real financial backup. Up to $2 million identity theft recovery costs, and up to $10,000 if I lose money to online fraud or scams, plus actual people who guide you step by step, instead of leaving you to figure it out alone. I keep it running in the background every day. It's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm not just hoping nothing happens. I'm actually covered. If it does, one scam can cost you everything. Protect yourself now. The first 100 people get 20% off with the code VETTED at coveron.com/vetted. That's coveron.com/vetted, code VETTED. The link is also in the description. It's risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So grab it while the discount is still available. Okay, so David Grusch has hinted at this before back in June. When allegedly is when he found this information out. Now, he's on Dr. Phil talking about this. Again, everyone's talking about it, right? David Grusch is saying he's seen audio-visual confirmation, evidence of alien craft and the bodies, the cadavers, as he's calling them, right? And again, from what I remember back in June, he just discovered this stuff. Like he was just shown this back in June or May or sometime in there. So it's not like he's had this information for a long time. So it's kind of interesting. And all of a sudden he gets this confirmation. It's one of those things where, all right, until I see it, I don't believe it, right? Doesn't mean it's not true. Doesn't mean I don't trust David Grusch. None of that. I don't know. I'm just hearing some guy on Dr. Phil tell me he's seen alien craft and bodies. You know what I mean? So again, something that would change humanity forever, and somehow David Grusch has gotten access to that. But my big question would be, right, is he seeing classified stuff when he's not supposed to be? Or how are they showing him this stuff, right? And why can't they show it to other people? They're showing it to David Grusch and it's not classified. Show it to the American people, right? And if they're showing it to David Grusch and it's classified and he's not supposed to be seeing it, that's also weird. Right? That also doesn't make sense. Something is not adding up here. Again, the same old story, telling us about this grand evidence, but we never get to see this grand evidence. But just telling me it's there. That's been happening for how long? Decades? So, I don't know. It's again, would just love to see this same evidence that David Grusch is seeing that would prove to him definitely that this is true, right? He's got friends on the crash retrieval, doesn't know the origin, I don't know. This is all a little strange, I have to be honest with you. I mean, he's saying things I want to hear. I want to hear about craft embodies and all of this, but something about the rollout of this is a little unusual. But maybe this is a way to force this information out. But again, like I stated at the beginning of this, if it's not classified, why not show it to everyone? And if it is classified, how did David Grusch get access to it? Well, Patrick, he's got a clearance. He's got, okay, well, other people have, show it to them too. Show it to lots of people so we can confirm this, right? I mean, if we see hundreds of people coming out saying they saw the same stuff and it needs to come out, that's different. But somehow it's just David Grusch. I don't know. But there's more.
Right, of course. Have any of these pilots or occupants of these craft, to your knowledge, been taken alive?
Yes. And I know people who have had direct interactions in a detainment situation, which sounds very Star Trek and sounds very crazy, but it is true. And I talked to a cabinet member, a former cabinet member, about that, who directly worked the issue for a particular former vice president. You can guess which one. Darth Vader.
And were they able to communicate?
Yes. And it is true that some sort of consciousness communication, of course, people call it telepathy. I cannot begin to tell you how it works, but there is some sort of communication like that. And even friends of mine that were on retrievals felt that kind of communication as they approached the vehicle when they were doing cordoning it off, waiting for transport. How that works, what that means, I certainly don't know. I'm as curious as the average viewer on your show on how that works. And it does feel very Star Trek to me. I have no personal experience with anything like that that's outside of my normal, human experience. But that is indeed, what people have experienced in the government with these things.
So again, I don't know. He's saying that, that we have recovered live alien bodies and that in detainment situations, we have communicated telepathically with them, right? Or consciousness based, or however you put it. And that he also saying friends of his on the crash retrieval team have also experienced this when they go to, section off a crash retrieval, right? You show up, you got to tape around it, I guess, to keep people from coming in. Whoa. Not this way. This is an alien craft here, okay? So those people as well have experienced some sort of communication. So basically in this interview with Dr. Phil, David Grusch states that the U.S. government has recovered craft with live aliens in them that we then communicated with. The American government has also recovered craft with dead alien bodies in it, right? The cadavers. And then third, he also states that we recovered craft with no bodies in them, right? So that in and of itself is a minimum of 3 craft, right? But David Grusch is saying we have, 25 or more. But then we also talk about how we're shooting down craft multiple a year. So where are all these craft? Like, you know what I mean? Again, there's a lot of confusing things here, but what do you think about this communication, right? And did we communicate with aliens in a detainment? And what does that mean? And what are we getting out of the communication? Right? These are where the stories about us having agreements with the aliens come from. So again, would be nice to see some evidence of this, right? Again, Grusch doesn't even talk about seeing evidence of this, just saying he was told. How many more stories are we going to hear that's just from what people are told? Now, David Grusch is saying he's seen audiovisual evidence. So why not describe it? What's in it? Exactly. Go take us through. It's this video. There's this in it. There's these photos, right? Get into the specifics. Why not? Right? If we're going to complain about gatekeepers, which is what David Grusch and his friends out there are doing, right? That the gatekeepers are holding the information back. Well, they're also holding the information back. People like David Grusch. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that's the truth. I guess you could look at it as positive gatekeeping. I don't know, but it's still gatekeeping, right? He's not describing any of the photos or videos that he's seen of the crashes, right? And the bodies and this and that. And again, just telepathic communication. It sounds nice, but where's the underlying evidence, proof of that happening? Right? It's hard for me to buy into it and kind of live in that reality that we, got live alien beings and then we communicated with them. It's hard for me to jump in that sandbox and play around until I can see some sort of a little, morsel of evidence or proof here rather than just David Grusch saying it. But again, he didn't stop there.
I do caution to ascribe this whole phenomenon as merely just extraterrestrial. That's certainly a piece of the pie. That's likely what some of this is. But there's other, taxonomies of anomalous intelligences, we'll call it, that perhaps it's ultra-terrestrial. Perhaps it grew up here and it left and it came back. And there's shadow biome. There's other types of origins. There's under the sea that we don't understand 70% of our oceans and what advanced intelligence might have developed on the seabed, so to speak. Wink, wink. And so there's a lot of different things that this could be. I certainly don't have all the answers, and I'm not omnipotent and did not have full exposure of the U.S. government's holdings and analysis of that. But we need to be open to a lot of different possible origins, none of which I think conflicts with basic Judeo-Christian theology. But we need to be open to some of that too, because I suspect a good portion of this is not, traditionally extraterrestrial, so to speak.
All right, this part is interesting, right? All the different origins. So he's saying extraterrestrial is definitely a part of the pie, right? Coming from another planet, that is definitely an origin of some of this, but that there's more origins. I mean, how many origins are there? Right? On our measly little planet Earth, we got all these people coming. We got extraterrestrials coming, interdimensional time travelers, ultra-terrestrials here. They've been here the whole time. Just like everything is true. All of the origins. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. Right? This is getting out of hand. It's far more likely that it's just one origin, whatever that is. Right? But again, this is the problem of playing in speculation, right? We haven't even gotten to the proof of these beings before they're already theorizing where they come from and telling us it's this. It's like, wait a second. We haven't even proven that this is real yet. Let's start there. Let's start with the proof that this is a real thing and you get more people behind it in the conversation. Again, David Grusch has crossed a line here. Not bad line. I'm saying he's crossed a line into there's no going back now, right? Now you've said you've seen audio visual proof of the beings and the craft, several different types. Where else is there to go unless this comes out, right? Unless this information comes out. 10 years from now, is Grusch just going to be saying the same thing, right? Congress not going to be moving on this, right? Like, what's going to happen? So look, hey, no problem. They're behind the scenes moving on this and trying to get the information out to the public. Great. I'll hold my breath until it happens. And if they're serious and this is true, then they will be heroes. But if they're not serious and this isn't true, they'll be the opposite of heroes. So very interesting. I hope David Grusch knows what he's doing. Right? If he truly believes in this, I really hope he knows what he's doing and he's not being fed fake information. Again, because the American people have not seen this information, right? There's a very small group of people behind the scenes who are looking at all this and getting it all and then coming and telling us a little bit about it, but not all of it, right? So it's very strange. They want to get the government or Congress to go investigate it and get that information out when they have the information. The thing that people are looking for, they have it. David Grusch clearly knows where he saw that audio-visual confirmation and who it came from. Why not tell Congress about that person? Okay, hey, dude, show this to them. Let's get this out. Show this to Donald Trump, right? Show this to the president. You telling me David Grusch has access to that audio-visual confirmation of aliens in the craft, but the president doesn't? I don't buy it. See, something isn't adding up, but nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to talk about, David Grusch said aliens. And I get it. Look, I get it. But I truly want this to be real. So yeah, pushing back a little bit. Okay, where's the evidence? Because I want to see it, right? But something's not adding up about this information. Why David Grusch is getting access to it and no one else is? Or if they are, the people who make decisions, why are they not seeing it? And if they have seen it and it didn't convince them, I want to know that. Right? Clearly, David Grusch has been convinced by this. But have other people seen it and weren't convinced by it? Does it make sense? So, man, it's such a crazy world we live in. So again, big claims, big bombshell claims would be awesome if they're true. Not saying they're not, just clearly we've seen no evidence. So what is the point of the information coming out? Why now? Right? That's what you got to ask yourself. And what are we hoping to happen? What's the next move? Right? David Grusch is coming out with this information to do what? To get people excited and click on things, or to get movement within Congress? Like, you think doing an interview on Dr. Phil is going to get movement in Congress? Right? So what is the point of all this? You can clearly tell that the Dr. Phil and David Grusch interview is rehearsed. And there's many clues I could give you to let you know that that's the case. You can tell in the way that Dr. Phil asks the questions, first of all. Right? He'll use words. Cadavers is a great example. He uses the word cadavers in his question before he asked David Grusch about it. And then that's the same phrasing that David Grusch uses, because they've clearly talked about this. Right? They've already done a pre-interview, if you will. I'm sure David Grusch knew the questions. So again, you got to ask yourself, what's the point? Why is this coming out? What's it doing? Money for certain programs? Is this just to support UFO disclosure? Why pick now to come talk about the audiovisual stuff? Again, just a lot more questions than answers. But let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm still on the road here in the UK till next week, so I'll be trying to do as many videos as I can while I'm on the road. But thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, Vedas, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.